Test. 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 All right. Well, I'm always a little bit nervous when we start these streams because I'm not really sure if I'm doing it right, but hopefully this is working. Looks like I've got maybe one other viewer right now. If you're watching me right now, if you guys could just kind of leave me a quick note on the chat on the side so I can know that you're here so that I can get ready for tonight's fuel. I always come on a little bit early just to make sure everything's working so we don't have any problems. Hello, Jonathan Lee. Hello. Thank you for coming early and joining our stream today. Let me see. Let me just quickly share this to our Facebook group. Just want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to join us on this wonderful Friday evening. Can only imagine how busy people might be. We are live. Join us. I wish I could play maybe some sort of a song or something. Hello, Ashley. Ashley, it's good to see you. It's been a long time since I've seen you on a Friday night. I'm glad that you can kind of join me on my live stream. Hopefully you'll be able to join us for a discussion. Hopefully, if you're not too busy, I totally understand if you've got too much homework. I don't want to give you too much stress in terms of the work that you have to do. So don't worry about joining on the discussion afterwards if you can't. But if you can, it'd be great to see your face, at least in a virtual setting and things like that. But we'll see. Otherwise, for the next maybe 10 minutes or so, let me just entertain you with random bits as we wait for people to kind of show up to our stream. Hello, Pastor Steve. Welcome to the stream. I'm sure you're at church right now, just kind of chilling in the office. Chilling like a villain. Oh, I don't know what that was. That was really bad. That was like really bad. I'm like kind of embarrassed. Oh. There's like a 10-second delay between what I actually do and then what I see on screen. So I actually just saw myself do that, and it was really embarrassing. So, yeah, never again. But in any case, like I said, if you're joining in our stream right now, if you could just give a quick hello over in the chat on the side, just so I know you're here, just so that I know that I'm interacting with actual people and not by myself like a crazy person. Definitely, it'd be nice. Oh, Rebecca King. Happy belated birthday to our Rebecca King. According to your brother, Elliot King, you had like 1 million birthday celebrations this week. But regardless, I'm sure you absolutely deserved all of your birthday celebrations this week. So happy belated birthday, and I hope you had a wonderful time. Hello, Janice. Welcome. It is good to see you as always. I can never tell which Janice you are. Are you Janice G? I feel like you're Janice G. I'm not really sure. But either way, no matter which Janice you are welcome to join us. Hello, Jesse Kang. Welcome to the live stream. We're glad that you're here. Yes, you, Janice. Janice J. Okay. I was right. You are exactly the Janice that I thought you were going to be. So that's good. Jesse King, what's up? Nothing much. Just chilling like a guy that's waiting for people to show. And hopefully there will be enough people kind of showing up to join us this day. Let's see what. So I'm trying to think of like a funny joke or a story. I'll tell you guys one of my favorite jokes. Actually, I'm trying to think of maybe like an appropriate joke. Hello, Joyce Jung. Welcome to the live stream. Jesse King breakfast is always appreciated. What are you going to bring us, Jesse? While you're typing that in the chat, let me go ahead and tell you one joke. What do you call a man with magic pee? A wizard. I know I can't see you guys, but I know that you are all... Oh, I told the joke and I lost a viewer. So I have another joke while we are still waiting. 2 out of 10. Oh, okay, all right, let me see. All right, let me see if I can do a better joke then. I'll tell you guys a joke. I don't know how appropriate it is, but I feel like it's not too terrible. My mom actually told me this joke when I was younger, and I thought it was really funny back in the day. So here it goes. So there are these 3 explorers exploring the jungle, and they're out there just kind of walking around, and they run across like this cannibalistic tribe, and they get captured by them. But as respect to them, they get a chance to choose how they want to die. And so the first guy says, I'm a very proud man. Give me a gun. So they gave him a gun, and he shot himself, and he killed himself that way. And the second man says, I am a brave man, so give me a knife. So he takes a knife, and he stabbed himself. Oh, I forgot. Oh man, I totally botched this joke. But this is like a cannibalistic tribe that uses like the skin to make for their canoes. So the second guy goes, give me a knife, and he used that, and he killed himself. And then they use the skin to make the canoes. And then the last guy goes, give me a fork. And so they gave him a fork, and he takes the fork, and he starts stabbing himself all over and over with the fork. And he says, this is what I think of your canoes. Hey, I finished the joke, and I gained like 2 viewers. Maybe yeah, that was I don't know if that's a great joke. But my mom told me that joke, which is, so. Yeah. No? Nothing? Not that funny? I thought it was funny. It's because I messed up the joke. If I had actually told it like properly from the beginning, I feel like it would have been done a lot better. But yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, I'm getting some support. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Janice. Yeah. I'll be right back. I'm going to turn the air conditioner off. I know that you guys can kind of hear it, and I don't want it to be a distraction. So I will be right back. All right. Well, I'm back. Right now it's about 7:35. We'll wait another couple more minutes, just because I know that people. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry you didn't like the. You like the parts where they killed themselves, but you didn't like the part where they turned into canoes. All right. Well, I don't really know what to say so much about that, but anyway. There was another joke that I was thinking about, but I can't remember right now how it goes. My mind's a little bit scattered today. I had just a lot of stuff that I need to kind of take care of. But yeah, growing up, my mom actually told me a lot of jokes. But for some reason, right now, that's kind of the only joke that I remember. If you guys have any jokes, that you guys want to type up in the chat, and then I'll read it out. Imagine being reincarnated and then you find out your skin is being used as a canoe. Yeah, that'd be pretty sad. I think it'd be kind of interesting that you reincarnated and recognized your own skin being used as a canoe. I think that would be definitely a stranger thing to kind of go by. Can you guys still hear my AC? Can you guys let me know if you guys can hear my AC in the background? It stopped. Okay, I think we're good to go. All right. We are another couple more minutes, and then we will begin our apologetics series. Okay. I'm going to set up something real quick, and then we will begin. In the meantime, if you guys can, I'll just greet one another in the chat on the side. I know that this isn't something that we really kind of get a chance to do. I know a lot of the interactions is between just you and myself, and yeah, I think it'd be good if you guys could just say hi to one another. I'm sure it would be appreciated. Okay, here we go. And then oh, here it is. Okay. Hello, everyone. Steve said good morning. Thinks he's so funny, which he is. He is a hilarious man. Right now, if you guys are on and you guys know that you guys have some friends who said that they would be joining us for the live screen, go ahead and just kind of send a quick message to your buddies and invite them and say, hey, why don't you join us? PT is live. He's ready. Cozy Glow. If you make me laugh, I'll never call you a hacker. Cozy Glow, are you Enoch? I feel like you're Enoch. All right. Maybe. All right. Well, we're going to get started real quick. So if you guys can join me in a quick word of prayer, I'm going to get started right now. Let's pray. Father God, Lord, I want to thank you for this evening. That, Father, as we discuss miracles, that, Father, that you would be with us as we go over, Lord, how do we explain it? How do we defend it against what the world says? Lord, may you be with me, that as I speak, that I would speak your truth. And Father, may you be with the students, that they would hear and understand what it is that you want them to hear. So Lord, may you just be with us, and I pray all this in your Son's name. Amen. Tonight I'm going to be talking about the apologetical view of miracles. There's a story about a little girl inside of a class, and I think it's like her first grade class. I don't know if it's a true story or not, but the story goes that the teacher was talking about how when they were crossing the Red Sea, it would have been impossible because the sea wasn't actually very deep. It was actually like up to their knees. And so for the Israelites, as they were leaving Egypt, crossing the Red Sea wasn't actually a giant miracle. But then the little girl in the class piped back up and she said, you know what? If that's the case, then that's one of the greatest miracles, because not only did the Israelites cross over the Red Sea, but Pharaoh and all of his men drowned in water that was up to their knees. And I think a lot of people, when we talk about miracles, they have this common misconception or this idea Some people will argue that the miracles in the Bible aren't actually miracles, but they can be explained away using science, that they were merely extraordinary events, but with very normal scientific and natural means, right? And then there's other people who, when we talk about miracles, they'll say things like, oh, the modern miracles of technology, or there was, a miraculous, comeback from like the LA Lakers. I know we got a bunch of Laker fans, we got a bunch of Dodger fans. Looks like a lot of the LA teams are doing pretty well these days. But tonight, when we talk about miracles, we're not talking about in these specific aspects, right? Let me go ahead and bring up. All right. I'm not exactly sure what you guys are seeing. Hopefully you guys are seeing. Okay, all right, there we go. All right, so tonight we're going to be talking about miracles, okay? So first, as we go on into the series, let's talk about the definition of miracles when we're talking about miracles. First off, miracles. A striking and religiously significant intervention of God in the system of natural causes. So when we're talking about miracles for tonight, we're not talking about miracles in the sense of, man, it was a miracle that I turned in my homework the other day. It was a miracle that I got an A. It was a miracle that I got through on time. No, when we're talking about miracles, we're talking about significant, right, interventions of God within a system of natural causes. So basically God kind of intervening within our people's lives in order to exhibit some sort of a change where it's very significant and it's very clear. And so a lot of people, when we talk about miracles, like I said before, they try to explain away these miracles. They say that either miracles don't exist, or that the people who were experiencing these things didn't really experience the way that they actually did, but because of, the experience, they were like shocked or whatever it may be. They talk about these different kind of things, right? So when we talk about miracles, we talk about two thoughts. First off, all right, the concept of miracles presupposes, rather than sets aside, the idea that nature is a self-contained system of natural causes. Unless there are irregularities, there can be no exception to them. Okay? So when we talk about miracles, we're basically talking about miracles have this very firm belief that the way that the world works, that the way that the world moves and is ordered, there is a regular system set up. Right? That there is an order to everything, right? When it rains, it's supposed to rain. When the sun rises, it's supposed to rise. And a miracle presupposes this idea, because if there is no natural system, if there is no normal order, then there can be some sort of an intervention or a change within everything that's kind of going on, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Basically, it's the idea that miracles can only exist if everything else in the world is ordered in a certain way. Second thought. A miracle is not a contradiction. A miracle is not a contradiction. So when we talk about miracles, it's basically the idea is when God causes things to happen, it's not something that goes against completely the nature of the way that the world runs, right? So like, for instance, God cannot make a bachelor who's married, and God cannot make a square triangle, right? These are contradictions, right? These are things that go against each other. So when we talk about that, because contradictions, they're meaningless. It doesn't make any sense at all, right? God can perform miracles, but not contradictions, not because his power is limited, but because contradictions are meaningless. Another example, some of the more famous examples of these contradictions people talk about are, can God make a mountain so big that even he can't move it? Right? These are kind of nonsense questions, philosophical questions that people kind of ask. What are the limitations when it comes to God? Right? Or my friend, his favorite version of a nonsense question like that is, can God make a burrito so hot that even he couldn't eat it? My friend is obviously a big fan of burritos, but that's basically one of the thoughts that he has, right? So understanding two thoughts, right? These are the presuppositions, right? For those of you guys that don't know, if you guys haven't gone over this so far in everything that we talked about, right? There is this idea of a presupposition or a priori thought. Right? This is even before you've entered into the argument, right? And famous theologian, apologist Van Til, he assumes this is that everyone already has a system of thought that they have when they come into a discussion, right? Nobody comes into a discussion as a complete blank slate. And I know some of you guys might be saying, oh no, I have a complete blank slate because I have no idea what you're talking about. And I know for me, my first year of seminary, it definitely felt like that. But when we talk about a blank slate, or when you come in with a thought beforehand, it's you already have this understanding of how things kind of work, right? And so when you hear certain things that go against that thought, there's like a red flag that kind of pops up, right? And so everyone has this preconceived notion, these thoughts that kind of go behind it. And even every argument that we make, either for or against miracles, holds a presupposition or an idea behind it. Okay. So with these two thoughts, remember, concept of miracle presupposes that there is an order of things, and a miracle, right? Even though it's a very supernatural change where God kind of intervenes, it doesn't contradict against the way that the world works. So when we talk about this, we have two questions. Two questions when it comes to miracles. As an apologist, as someone that's trying to ask the questions about miracles, these are the two different ways that people approach miracles. The first one is the historical approach. Are miracles actual? Are miracles actual? Did miracles actually happen? Right? So this is more of a historical question, where we're trying to figure out through evidence as we read through history books or read eyewitness testimonies and things like that. These are the questions that people ask. And then the second is the more philosophical way, is are miracles possible? Are miracles possible? For the historical, like I said, it requires historical investigation in order for us to figure that out. Today we're going to be talking about a little bit more about the philosophical arguments. It argues for the possibilities of miracles. Are miracles possible? Okay. Oh. All right, well, I'll just go over this next part, right? In order for miracles to exist, all right, here are some of the requirements for the possibility of miracles to exist. Right? Number one, there has to be a miracle worker. In order for any of these miracles to kind of happen, there needs to be someone that really kind of comes in and intervenes. So everyone that believes in miracles believes in some sort of a God. But not everyone who believes in God believes in miracles. And we know this because we live in an era where not everyone believes in God himself, right? You'll see this a lot, especially if you go out to like LA, or even just maybe even in your own schools, you run into people that are like this, where they say, oh, I'm spiritual. I'm a spiritual person, right? Or the universe guides me, right? Or the stars have aligned, right? There's just they believe in some sort of cosmic being or an energy or something that kind of moves them around, right? So everyone who believes in miracles believes in some sort of a higher power or whatever it may be. Right? So number one, in order for miracles to exist, there must be a miracle worker. Miracle. I've been saying miracle in my head so many times that it sounds kind of strange. I think at certain points I miracle, like America. Anyway, sorry. Moving forward. If there is a God, miracles are possible. But perhaps God did not choose to do miracles. Right? So maybe, God, if God exists, then miracles are possible. That's within the realm of possibility. And as apologists, for us, as we argue with philosophers or atheists or whoever it may be, we have to open the door for the possibilities that these miracles could possibly exist. Right? But maybe God chose not to do miracles. So this leads us to two more questions, and I know it's like a Russian nesting doll. I don't know if guys know what that is. It's like the little doll where you open and there's like another doll and then another doll and another doll, another doll. All right, we're gonna keep going down this rabbit hole of these questions, right? So it leads to two more questions. Is there proof that God would not do miracles? And is there proof that the world is not open to miracles? Is this a world that's devoid, that's impossible, where you look at it and you're saying, no way, no way could there be any miracles in this world? Right? So we're going to look at the first question. Is there proof that God would not perform miracles? Right? Short answer, no. We don't know that. We don't know that for sure. Right? If God does exist, God is all-powerful. We know that God is omnipotent. We've learned that in previous lessons. And for those of you guys that don't remember, omnipotent is basically someone who is all-powerful. If God is all-powerful, then the possibility of God doing miracles very much does exist. We just don't know if God would or would not do so. The only one who would know is God. Right? But one of the things that we do know is that God is capable of doing so. If there is a God, miracles are possible. Okay. Second one, is there proof that the world is not open for miracles? Once again, short answer, no. Short answer is no. Right? If nature is open to the possibility of existing or not existing, then it is open to the possibility of containing miracles. In other words, when God said, "Let there be light," and light came into being, and God created the heavens and the earth and everything that's in them, we see that nature can also exist with the possibility of miracles being in them. If God, the omnipotent one, is able to say, "Let there be," and things come into being, then there is no proof that the world is not open for miracles. All right, I know. Maybe this is too much for you. It's like the philosophical level is just like way too much up there. Maybe it's kind of blowing your mind. Maybe I'm just not doing a good job, but hopefully you understand what it is that I'm trying to say, right? So now that we know this, we have kind of developed and we've opened up this possibility of the idea of this world for miracles to exist. We're going to take a look at three very quick objections against miracles. These are three very quick objections, not too long. I'm going to go over them real quick, right? Objections against miracles in this world, right? Remember, this is the slide that actually should have been moved earlier, but I'm going to go over this real quick, is that for us, as we go over these philosophical discussion, especially as we get into our later topics, because a lot of apologetics is also very philosophical in nature, right? Remember, we're not looking at this from a historical perspective. We're looking at this with probably more of a mental exercise, and we have this if-then statement. Our objective as apologists is to prove the possibilities of miracles. Right? If God doesn't exist, then there is no miracles. Right? If miracles didn't exist, then the whole of Christianity doesn't exist. Okay? For us, our job as apologists is to open that door, to make that possibility. And so in order for us to do that, we need to be able to answer these different objections that people might have. Okay. So objection number one, miracles violate the principle of the uniformity of nature. Miracles violate the principle of the uniformity of nature. Okay. Let me just read this real quick. What is meant by the uniformity of nature? If it means that we can explain whatever happens wholly in terms of the system of natural causes, then the objection begs the question. It amounts to saying miracles violate the principle that miracles never happen. Basically, it's the idea that miracles when it enters into the realm, when God intervenes within all of creation. It really, I don't know the best way to kind of break this down a little bit. I wish there was an example that I could kind of explain this a little bit better. The big problem with this is that it's the problem is the way that it's phrased. This idea of the uniformity of nature. It's this idea that miracles in and of itself is a violation of the way that the world is ordered. Basically, that's what it's saying. That everything that happens, all the miracles that exist, it can be explained away by natural reasoning and through science. That it's not really God who comes in and intervenes, but really these miracles are a violation of that. Therefore, there cannot really be miracles. Sorry, that's not the best way I can kind of explain it, and I don't know how to simplify that any further than that. But let's move on to the second one, right? A miracle, by definition, must violate some law of nature and therefore must be a maximally improbable event. But then it is always more likely that the event never really occurred as described or remembered, or that it did not really violate the laws of nature. So this is actually an extension of the first objection. Response 1, a miracle does not violate the laws of nature any more than a school principal violates the schedule of classes by canceling gym for a special assembly. Violations take place whenever someone who has to follow or uphold an established order fails or refuses to do so. So there's two different responses to this one objection. First off, it's the idea that there's a violation of the law of nature. But when we're talking about God kind of creating these miracles within life, it's not a violation of the law of nature because God is the creator of all things. And therefore, when God comes in and intervenes, it's not so much that God is intervening or violating the way that he has created all these different kind of things. It's merely him coming and changing things up a little bit. When we consider the idea that Jesus turned water into wine, right? When we take a look at that miracle, it's not so much that it's a violation of nature. Jesus is merely taking the different atoms and all those different kind of things. He's rearranging it to make something new. This is the power of God. God is able to do that. God is the creator of all things. And so when he comes in and he intervenes, it's not a violation of nature. It's merely something that God is doing to kind of changing things up when he comes in. So when your friend comes up to you and says, dude, these miracles, no, they're a violation of the way that the world is. It just takes science and it throws it out the window. That's not that. God is the one coming and he's intervening and he's rearranging it in a way that only God can do it as the creator. Another way that I kind of think of it is, and this is really kind of a dumb analogy, but hopefully it kind of works, is that when we look at the Lego movie, right? That whole movie was, if you haven't seen the movie, Lego movie, I highly recommend for you guys to go watch it. First one, not the second one. Second one's not as good. First one, right? Where we have the Lego features, right? Lego figures that they're called master builders, and they can take everything in the world and they can make wonderful things, right? That. But in reality, when we find out that it's actually the kid or the dad who's actually playing with it, then they're the ones that are actually taking all the things and making it in however way that they kind of want to do it, right? So yeah, sure, they can do amazing things, but these Legos are still bound by these specific laws of nature. But then the creators, right, the kid and the dad, they can come in and they do whatever they want with it. It's not a violation of the nature, but it's merely them being the true master builders to be able to come in and do something about it. Second one, why are miracles called maximally improbable? They are certainly unusual, but how do we know whether they are likely to happen or not? only if we have already decided whether or not it is likely that God exists or that he would ever work a miracle. To call something maximally improbable, like a miraculous event to be maximally improbable, presupposes the idea that you know the probable existence of all things that are to happen in this world. There's sort of an arrogance behind that by saying, hey, I can do whatever I want, or not I can do whatever I want. I know all these things, and for this event to happen, highly unlikely. Very highly unlikely, right? That's like, how do you know? Like, on what level do you know that these things are highly unlikely to happen? David Hume, a Scottish philosopher naturalist, this is actually one of his big arguments against the idea of miracles. He believes that all things can be explained in a naturalistic way. He says that everything can be explained by nature. And he says the probability of miracles happening within the world are very low. And he says because when we take a look at the evidence of everything else around us, when we don't see a lot of miracles happening, then clearly it must be true that miracles just never happen. This is his argument. And he believes in more of a naturalistic view of seeing the world. Okay? But when we consider this idea, and I got this from, I can't remember what his name is at the moment. I'll post it later if I can remember. But his argument, in a way that kind of explains, is that imagine a court trial where a wife is murdered, and then we take a look at the idea, the speculation that maybe the husband killed her. And so at first we think, oh, maybe that's highly unlikely. That doesn't look like it'll be right. But then you have more of these evidence, right? You hear eyewitness testimonies. You hear the neighbor. You see video footage. You see DNA evidence. And you see all these different kind of things. And the more and more you see all this different evidence, you find that, hey, you know what? Maybe the husband really did kill themselves. Or maybe the husband really did kill the wife. And so we have this two different point of views. There is the probability before the evidence comes in, and then there's the probability after the evidence comes in. And so the problem with David Hume's argument is that he's still using the probability from before the evidence kind of comes in. For us as believers, when we take a look at the miracles, especially in the Bible, take for example the resurrection of Jesus from the grave. We take into account all different sorts of evidence, and in this case we're going back a little bit more to the historic evidence. But when we take a look at eyewitness testimony, we see the changed lives of not only just the disciples but all the other believers as well. We find that the probability of this miracle actually happening increases exponentially. So when we say stuff like it's maximally improbable events, we're going in with a very arrogant personality. We're not going in there with this idea that, hey, maybe there is a possibility. Let me hear a little bit more of the evidence for this specific miraculous event. So for David Hume, that was his argument. And so this is the argument that we're presenting against him. Last one, how can we know who's really responsible for the miracle? So we've gone over these different objections. Is that one, it's a definition of the way that the world works. It's not a definition, a violation of the way that the world works. Well, we said that, hey, you know what? The Lord is the one who's intervening. The Lord is the one who's in charge of all that. So he's the one who's able to kind of decide whether or not that's true or not. Two, the miracles are a contradiction to the way that things work. No, it's not a contradiction. Right? It's merely God asserting his power in a different way. And then lastly, all right, so that's fine. Okay, yeah, sure, let's go through that. We can go through these things. But the last question we have to ask ourselves is then, how can we know who's really responsible for the miracle? How do we know who's responsible for it? Context is king. Context is king. In this case, I'm arguing merely for the proof for the biblical miracles that we read in both the Old and the New Testament, right? When we're talking about the Old Testament, we're talking about like Jonah being in the belly of the great fish. We're talking about the resurrection of Christ. We're talking about all the miracles that Jesus himself did. When we take a look at Scripture, Jesus himself, he says that I do this as the Son of God. I do this with the authority of the Father. He takes full authority for all the miraculous works that he's done. Even in the Old Testament, they always attest it back to God. And so when we take a look at the New Testament, as we look at these different miracles that's being described, the question that we see is, we have to ask ourselves, when Jesus makes these claims, he can only be one of three things. Either one, he's a lunatic. He's absolutely crazy. For him to take credit for all those different miracles that's kind of going around, right? You'd either have to be completely crazy, because not only did all the things that he do and say get him in a lot of trouble to the point where he ended up facing death on the cross, right? Only a lunatic would do that. Or two, he's a demonic liar. He's a demonic liar, purposely leading people away from any other thing and to die for him. If everything that he said wasn't true, then he would have to be a demonic liar, right? Or three, everything that he did say is true, and therefore Jesus really is God. When you study your scriptures, those are the only three possibilities. Those are the only three possibilities that we have for who Jesus can be. So how can we know who's really responsible for the miracles? When you take a look at the scriptures, you have to take a look at who's taking credit for them. And Jesus is very clear. And every single time that he does it, he says he does it for the Father. Last question. Do miracles occur today? Do miracles occur today? And the only real answer that I can kind of give for you right now is I would say that yes, they do still occur today. But I would say be very cautious of all the stories that you hear. There's that story about that kid who said that he died and he spent time in heaven and then he came back. And they wrote books about him. They made movies about him. And I think that went on for at least like a year and a half, 2 years or so. They made a lot of money off of that. And then he confessed, a little kid, I think he was like 6 or 7 at the time. Then he confessed that he made all of that up. Not because that he wanted to, but because the dad himself wanted to make money off of him or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was. But it was found that his stories were all proven to be false. So while I am open, I think Pastor Steve had said it best when I asked him his thoughts on miracles, is it's to be open, but to be cautious. It's to be open and to be cautious. Because when we take a look at the biblical miracles, from the Old Testament through the New Testament into the epistles, the letters, and even the works that the apostles did in the book of Acts, all of it was to point out back to Jesus. These were all signs that pointed to God, to either show their power, to show that they had the authority that came from God, or Jesus himself who's proving that he was God, or 3, God in the Old Testament showing that he is really ruling and working in the lives of those people there. So in the Bible, when we take a look at miracles, we see that that's the purpose behind them. But however, today, I'm not saying that there aren't any miracles, but I would still say be very cautious. Only because I know for sure that even in my own life, among people that I know, I've heard stories about people being miraculously healed from disease that they thought would rack them forever or lead them towards death. We always pray for those different kind of things. And so, when you pray, I don't want you to be discouraged and say, oh, miracles don't happen today. God doesn't work now. Pray for those things. You don't know how God is going to work. But at the same time, don't always believe all those different stories out there when it says, whatever it may be. praise God. Praise God that these things happen. But, you know, just be cautious. That's all I'm trying to say. All right. Well, otherwise, that's it. In terms of my presentation for today. If you take a look at the bottom in the descriptions, there is that poll EV, where if you have any questions, you guys can go ahead and submit it to them. Pastor Steve, he can message it over to me right now. So if you guys take a look at the descriptions, you guys should be able to either text in your questions or however you want to do it. But if you have any questions, now would definitely be the time for you guys to ask. So, Pastor Steve, I'm just waiting right now. Are there any questions submitted to you as of yet? Or if you have questions that you want to just ask in the chat, I can definitely see the chats and go ahead and answer those there. Give you guys a couple minutes to either go ahead and do that. Okay, no questions so far. If you have any other questions, it doesn't have to be just on miracles. Me and Pastor Steve, we can take any other questions on any other topic. We may or may not answer it now, depending on future topics, but we're definitely happy to hear any other questions that you might have for that. Otherwise, anyone have a joke that you want to type up into the chat? I love jokes. All right. Oh no. Oh yeah. All right. Well, if you guys really don't have any other questions, Enoch, I feel like you're because if they flew over the bay, they'd be bagels. So the question was, why do seagulls fly over the sea? Yeah, there we go. All right. Well, if you guys have no other questions, or if you're too shy to ask either in the chat or in our poll EV, you guys can go ahead and ask either Pastor Steve or myself in our separate Zoom meetings. Right now we have those Zoom in the discussion group, so if you guys want to go ahead and join us, feel free to go ahead and join us over there right now. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for coming today. I know, especially for a lot of high school students, you guys are pretty busy with everything that's kind of going on. So for high school kids, thank you guys so much for joining me. If you are, if you're in junior high, I hope you guys are doing well in everything else that you guys are doing, and you guys should be good. Otherwise, that's about it. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful time, and I will see you guys all on Sunday. Remember, service starts at 9:30. Please do not be late. I know even though we have a later start time, I know that we have some people who still come late. They still come late. I don't understand how it is that you guys still come late. We have a later start time. Guys, come on. Join us on time. Remember, this is for God. This is for the Lord. And everything we do it for the glory of God. So please make sure you guys join us for there, okay? Otherwise, thanks a lot. I'll see you in the Zoom. Bye.